You hear "party this weekend," and your chest tightens. Not anxiety, not sadness, just this quiet, immediate knowing that you'd rather not go. And before anyone even asks, you're already building the excuse in your head. Not because you're depressed, not because you hate people, but because the idea of staying home alone sounds better than anything else you could possibly do that night. And for years, people have been trying to fix you for that. Here's what nobody tells you. Society has spent decades getting this completely wrong. There's a massive difference between being lonely and being alone. One is a wound that aches. The other might actually be your greatest strength. But we've been taught to see them as the same thing. We've been told that if you enjoy your own company, something must be off. That you're antisocial, damaged, one failed connection away from becoming some cautionary tale. But recent psychology research just flipped that entire narrative on its head. For the longest time, psychologists lumped everyone who liked solitude into one big red flag category. Introverts, loners, people to worry about. If you preferred a quiet night in over a crowded bar, therapists started taking notes. But then, in 2016, something shifted. A team at the University of Buffalo asked a question that sounds almost too simple. What if some people just genuinely prefer being alone? Not because they're afraid of rejection, not because past trauma made them hide, but because solitude actually feels good to them. Better than good even, like coming home after a long trip. They called it unsociability. And that word matters because it's not antisocial. Antisocial means hostility, aggression, a fundamental disregard for others. That's a completely different thing. And it's not avoidant either, because avoidant is rooted in fear. It's anxiety wearing a mask of preference. But unsociability? That's something else entirely. It's the calm, confident choice to spend time with yourself. No fear. No hiding. Just preference. And when researchers studied people in this category, they found something that surprised everyone. These people were thriving. Not just okay. Actually doing better than most. So what's actually happening inside the brain of someone who genuinely loves being alone? First, their dopamine system works on a different frequency. You know how extroverts get this huge rush from social interaction? The laughter, the back and forth energy, the buzz of being surrounded by people? It lights up their reward centers like a fireworks show. But people who prefer solitude have what researchers call a more sensitive dopamine system. They hit their optimal stimulation levels way faster. Think of it like spice tolerance. An extrovert needs the whole jalapeno to feel satisfied. Someone who loves solitude? A single flake of red pepper and they're good for the entire day. They're not lacking anything. They're just calibrated differently. But here's where it gets really interesting. Their prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for deep thought, self-reflection, complex problem solving. It lights up differently during alone time. They're not just zoning out, staring at walls like some depressed movie character. Their brains are throwing an entire party of introspection, creativity, mental processing. Ideas connecting, thoughts deepening. It's not emptiness, it's richness. And studies on creativity back this up in a wild way. Breakthrough ideas, the ones that actually change things, they almost never happen in brainstorming meetings or crowded coffee shops. They happen in the shower, on solo walks, at 2 in the morning when you're the only person awake and your mind finally has space to breathe. Einstein did his best thinking alone. So did Newton. Virginia Woolf literally wrote an entire essay called A Room of One's Own about how essential solitude was to her creative survival. Maya Angelou rented hotel rooms just to write in silence, even though she had a perfectly good house with a perfectly good desk. She needed that separation. That aloneness, not because she hated people, because that's where her mind worked best. You think that's a coincidence? It's not. It's pattern. It's proof. Now, before you immediately decide this is you, because I know half of you are already nodding thinking, finally someone gets it, let's pause for a second. There's a distinction we need to make here, and it's uncomfortable but necessary. Do you choose solitude, or are you hiding in it? Because here's the truth that's hard to sit with. Some people aren't embracing solitude as a preference. They're using it as armor, a shield against the possibility of rejection, judgment, or the raw vulnerability that comes with letting people in. And that's where we have to get honest with ourselves, really honest, in a way that might sting a little. Psychologist Abraham Maslow talked about this exact thing. He said healthy solitude comes from a place of abundance, not scarcity. You enjoy being alone because you've had meaningful connections before, and you know you can have them again whenever you want. You're not running from people. You're running toward yourself. That's the difference. The question isn't just, do you like being alone? The real question, the one that matters, is why do you like being alone? If your answer involves words like recharge, create, think, process, reflect, then you're probably in that healthy unsociability zone. You're good. But if your answer involves words like safer, easier, less painful, less risky, then that might be pointing to something different. Not wrong, not broken, just different, and maybe worth exploring with someone you trust. But let's get back to the people who genuinely thrive in solitude, because they've figured out something most of us are still trying to learn. They've discovered that being alone is not the same as being incomplete. Think about the way we talk about romantic relationships. My other half. My better half. You complete me. We've constructed this entire cultural narrative that says humans are like broken puzzle pieces, just desperately wandering around looking for the one person who fits our jagged edges. But people who truly enjoy solitude have looked at that story and said, actually, I'm already a whole puzzle. I don't need someone else to finish me. And what's fascinating is this isn't arrogance. It's not superiority. It's self-awareness. Research from Dr. Bella DePaulo at UC Santa Barbara found that single people who embrace solitude often have stronger, more diverse connections with friends, family, and community than people in relationships. Why? Because they're not trying to extract all their emotional needs from one person. They're not clinging out of desperation. They're choosing out of clarity. They understand something that changes everything. The quality of your alone time directly impacts the quality of your social time. When you're recharged, centered, clear-headed from spending time with yourself, you actually show up better in your relationships. You're not depleted, dragging yourself to coffee dates on fumes. You're not secretly resentful that someone's taking your energy. You're not scanning the room for someone to fix the emptiness inside you. You're bringing your whole self to the table because you've already spent real time at your own table first. You've sat with yourself, listened to yourself, and you liked what you found. There's so much power in that. Here's something that'll actually blow your mind. In Japan, there's a specific word for this. Hidori, alone time, and it's not just accepted. It's celebrated as a normal, healthy part of life. They have restaurants with solo seating booths designed specifically for one person. Movie theaters with single seats that don't make you feel like the odd one out. Entire cultural practices built around the understanding that sometimes you just need to exist with yourself, and that's not sad. They even have solo karaoke booths. Think about that for a second. They've made singing alone in a soundproof box a completely legitimate, socially accepted activity. Meanwhile, in the West, we're still asking people, why are you eating alone? Like it's some kind of confession at a support group. The difference is wild. So what does this actually mean for you? If you're someone who genuinely loves being alone, if this whole video has felt like someone finally put words to something you've always known but couldn't explain, here's your permission slip. You're not weird. You're not broken. You're not socially defective or emotionally stunted. Your brain is literally wired to find restoration, creativity, and peace in solitude. And that's not just okay. It's valuable. The world genuinely needs people who can sit with themselves. People who can think deeply without needing constant external stimulation. People who understand the difference between real connection and codependency. In this age of constant notifications, where everyone's expected to reply immediately, to always be available, to always be on, the ability to genuinely enjoy your own company might be the most countercultural, rebellious thing you can do. It's resistance. It's freedom. But here's the check-in, the honest one. Make sure you're not confusing preference with self-protection. Ask yourself the hard questions. Can you connect with people when you actually want to? Do you have people you trust? People you could call if things got bad? Are you running towards solitude because it fills you up? Or are you running from connection because it scares you? Because the healthiest relationship with being alone is one where it's a choice, not a defense mechanism. The next time someone asks why you're always alone, or why you canceled those plans again, or why you'd genuinely rather stay home with a book than go to that party, you could explain dopamine sensitivity to them. You could talk about prefrontal cortex activation, about Hidori, about Einstein and Maya Angelou, and the entire body of research showing that solitude isn't social failure. It's often social intelligence. Or, you could just smile and say, because I actually like myself. That usually ends the conversation pretty quickly. And honestly, that's the entire point. If this video just explains something about yourself you've never been able to put into words, something you felt guilty about or tried to change, don't leave yet. Hit subscribe, because this channel exists to make human behavior make sense. No jargon. No judgment. Just psychology that actually helps you understand why you are the way you are. I'll see you in the next one.